These abundant trees are home to the kami, but they are also a sought-after raw material for skilled local craftsmen. In Wajima, one of the Noto Peninsula's main towns, artisans work with great simplicity to make one of the most prized lacquer bowls in Asia, the Wajima Nuuri. It all starts with a piece of wood.
All the wood I use comes from the forests of the Noto Peninsula. I mainly use kihiki wood to make my bowls because this wood has the particularity of being very porous, which makes it adapted for applying lacquer. I buy the wood untreated, which I then season by smoking it for around 3 months. That's what gives it this black color. Then I start to work it. It takes me about 20 minutes to make a bowl. To learn the basic techniques of production takes around 4 years. But you know, I've been doing this craft for 20 years, and I'm still learning.
Family-run workshops can be found throughout the town, and a few streets away, newly made bowls are passed into some other expert hands.
Our family has run this Wajima Nuuri business for the past 150 years. The origin of lacquered bowls dates back to the time when only wooden bowls were used. These bowls, even when good quality, did not last very long, so they had the idea of lacquering them to produce finer bowls which were harder. The Wajima Nuuri represents the continuation of this period. Over the years, mastery of lacquer work has been refined to a high degree of excellence. Wajima Nuuri bowls are widely used for ceremonies, for example at New Year and for the Anoto. The traditional technique which we practice requires a lot of time. First of all, there are a dozen successive coats of black paint, each of which is polished. Then we move on to the colored lacquer, usually red or orange. After each layer, it has to be left to dry. It's very long. Other workshops use a fast-drying method. Here, we leave the lacquer to dry in the air, which improves the quality and its overall hardness. Whereas some will take 2 months to finish a bowl, we take 6. Our workers are like part of the family. For example, the painter who applies the lacquer has worked with us for 45 years. Mastering the various techniques requires many years of experience, and it takes at least 10 years training to become a good craftsman.
It is difficult to convey in pictures the gentle refinement of these objects. I never suspected that I would one day be so moved by the sensuality and the lines of a simple bowl. And yet, they embrace something inexpressible, perhaps contained in the 6 months required to make them. Snow may well have covered the whole landscape, but I can feel the presence of the rice fields, and I can hear their slumber. In the course of my journey, I spent a lot of time looking for someone who could explain to me what the Anoto is. So it was fortuitous that I met a young rice grower who was about to perform it for the first time. But beforehand, he wanted to invite me to his home to introduce me to his family.
I have a small paddy field, but it's not really a field, it's more some little plots on the hillside. We eat rice with every meal, rice that comes from my land. Every day my mother cooks vegetables from the garden, or which are grown in the region. As for the fish and meat, we buy that at the supermarket. I work full-time at a dye works in town, and I only have time to take care of the rice fields after my working day or on my days off. The rest of the time, my father looks after the rice. My father performed the Anoto when I was little, so I grew up with it. Today, I feel it is something important for me. Rice plays a part in every day of my life, and I never waste a single grain, because for me, it's more than just a foodstuff. My father has not practiced the Anoto for years now. His job as a farmer was not enough to keep the family going, and he had to get another job. He goes between these two jobs, but his job in town has taken priority over his work as a farmer. I think that's why he stopped doing the Anoto. Is there a spirit in my rice field? What can I say? When I was little, I used to see my father invite the spirit into the house during the Anoto. That left a strong impression on me. And ever since, I believe in the presence of a rice spirit in my paddy fields.
Dawn breaks over the mountains, and once again I cross the dense forest of Noto. I'm rather impatient today, because I'm going to attend the ceremony I've waited so long to see, the Anoto. The Anoto is about the special relationship between a farmer and his kami, the spirit which lives in his rice field. The ceremony takes place in 2 stages, the first part in December, the second in February. In December, the farmer goes to the rice field to look for the kami and invites him to spend a month and a half in his home. The farmer treats the spirit as he would a real-life guest. He offers him a bath, a meal, and all the honors befitting his status. It is now February, and the second part of the ceremony is devoted to the kami's return to his rice field. Once the family has prepared the meal, the rest of the ceremony takes place in private between the farmer and his kami.
今日2月9日、田の神様お送りの日です。いろいろのわけでゆっくり休んでくださいませ。
Since my father has not performed the Anoto for years, he couldn't teach it to me properly. That is why I got in touch with this old man who has practiced it annually for many years. He knows all the stages of the ceremony by heart. Now that I know more about the subject, I'm glad I can talk about it again with my father.
The kami, when it is not in its natural environment, needs the help of humans to move about. After spending more than 1 month in a little Shinto shrine, always located somewhere high up, the spirit is invited down to take its place alongside its host. The farmer moves the spirit around the house with the help of a fan. After receiving a bath, both kami, since there are two in this particular case, take their places on some comfortable red cushions and wait to be served the meal.
In fact, I got the idea of performing the Anoto on the advice of a friend. Then the fact that I'd seen my father practice it for all those years made me want to revive this tradition in my family.
Given that sake is a drink made from fermented rice, it is only natural that this is served during the meal. The kami are sensory beings, but they are blind. That is why the farmer continually describes everything that he is doing, so the kami know. He goes so far as describing every detail of the food present in the Wajima Nuuri bowls.
I feel ready to perform the Anoto now. I will do it in my own way, not exactly how I was taught it. The important thing is to perform it with conviction.
At the end of the meal, the kami take their places on a sacred pine branch. Accompanied by several final offerings, they head back to the rice field, their natural home. I am moved by the poetry of this old man making his way through the snow. motivated by his conviction and his belief in his kami.
田の神様、今日は田打ち式です。今年も豊年豊作になりますようお願いいたします。